SVC Media.
Welcome to the iGaming Daily Podcast, analysing the news from the betting and gaming industry all over the globe, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market.
Afternoon, everyone. Welcome to today's episode of iGaming Daily, sponsored by Optimove. I'm Ted Orme-Claye and I'm here with Callum Williams, both of us representing the payment expert and insider sport teams as usual. And today we're going to get into a topic we've not talked about for a while. I don't think many people have talked about for a while, actually. So really sort of blowing the dust off this one, and that's NFTs. A lot of our listeners will probably remember the hype around NFTs that we had from 2020 and 2021 in particular, going into 2022 a bit. Obviously when this started to die off, and at this point they've kind of, apart from a few spaces, they've really sort of faded into memory when it comes to a lot of conversation around blockchain technology. But this week we saw quite a big development regarding sort of convergence of betting and NFTs, with DraftKings in the US announcing the closure of its NFT marketplace. Before we get into this topic, first, obviously, a word for our sponsor, Optimove. Optimove is the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. To get a free demo with Optimove, go to www.optimove.com/SBC, and we'll also leave some links to this in the description for this episode. So, Callum, how's it going, mate? You all right?
I'm good, Ted. Yeah, I'm good. We're actually getting some warm weather in the UK now, so... Yeah, that's all right, I guess.
I was on the fence as to whether I should wear a pair of shorts to the office today this morning, because it was absolutely chucking it down, wasn't it? But yeah. I thought I'd roll the dice a bit and give it a go, and thankfully, by the looks of it, out the windows, it's paid off. So yeah, should be a decent commute home later at least. But right, so you've been on the payment expert beat a bit longer than me, and you're kind of our resident blockchain and crypto sort of specialist, really. So just to start things off, for our listeners who might be a bit more uninitiated on this, what is an NFT? Sort of what's the purpose of them, and how do they differ from crypto? Could you give our listeners a bit of a breakdown for that? Yeah,
Ted. So NFTs, they kind of came into prominence as a digital asset of a collectible, pretty much. They are digital collectibles. They run on blockchain technology. They can be purchased with crypto, mainly crypto. So you put in your fiat currency, exchange that into crypto, and then you've got your NFT. Now, an NFT could pretty much be anything, really. I know during the initial boom period, which we'll talk about more in depth in a bit, it was like pieces of art. So, and these pieces of art would then, like a physical piece of art, would obviously go for more valuation the longer it goes, and the more interest there is, the price will rise. And then obviously you had the surge of celebrities like Justin Bieber, Neymar was, for instance, buying in these NFTs. So yeah, the celebrity endorsement of these NFTs back in 2020 and 2021, it kind of just exploded the term into the mainstream for a little bit. But as far as it differs from crypto, I mean, it's still one and the same thing, really, as opposed to crypto is being used to buy the digital collectible. But more so, crypto is more used as I'd say as a payment tool, but over recent times it's been being used more as an investment tool, like Bitcoin and Ethereum or whatsoever. So it's the NFTs have quickly died down over the past year or so, which I'm sure we're going to get onto, but they can be used for all types of things, not just art pieces, but tickets for concerts, loyalty programs, that type of stuff for retail. So yeah, there's some interesting use cases you can use with NFTs.
So I guess really, I mean, I may be oversimplifying this a bit, but obviously both cryptocurrency and NFTs are blockchain-based assets, aren't they? The difference is obviously the crypto, as you said, is more of a payment method, and as the name suggests, a currency. Whilst an NFT is like a blockchain-based product, isn't it, really? And then the sort of link between the two is, as you said, both of them can be an investment opportunity.
Yeah, with the blockchain technology as well, that anyone who owns the NFT is pretty much their copyright, their ownership is basically put onto the blockchain. So it's the public domain, but it's also there's verification that they own this. And then there's investment contracts and smart contracts that outline this.
And then from what I remember, that was kind of really one of the big selling points of them, wasn't it, during that whole boom period that we're going to get into later. Obviously, a lot of different stakeholders were getting involved in that. As you said, there was a lot in entertainment and in sports. Kind of one of the things to really sort of ground it with the overarching agenda of this podcast, obviously a lot of betting companies did as well. Because I remember, for one example, for a bit closer to home with us in the UK, I remember Entain launched, I can't remember what year it was in now, but they launched like this sort of innovation hub sort of thing. It was backed by, I think, about £100 million investment. They were looking at lots of stuff like virtual reality, augmented reality and all that. One of the things they were looking at was NFTs. I think a lot of betting companies were they wanted to see how they could involve NFTs and the hype around it into their operations. Kind of like what you said about loyalty programs as well. I think that was definitely part of it, as well as just sort of the ability for their users to win NFTs and contests and things like that. In the US, I think they probably had the biggest impact because we've seen DraftKings launch its NFT marketplace back in 2021, and then it launched the Reignmakers initiative in 2022. And these kind of combined, for our listeners, this combines kind of daily fantasy sports, which is something DraftKings has quite a big history in. It was obviously they were a fantasy sports provider first, weren't they, before getting into betting? Yeah. From what I remember. The big news this week is, as I said in the introduction, they've closed that down, which I think is a really sort of significant development. I think there's that part of this is due to an ongoing legal case, I think, which we won't get into too much. But I just think it's interesting that this sort of shows how much NFTs have went to the forefront of a lot of these technological discussions, both in betting and elsewhere, and now have really sort of been relegated to it. I mean, obviously, we're going to talk now about this the NFT boom that we saw. I mean, that started in around 2020, right?
Yeah, it came around 2020, so it was COVID period. So a lot of people were just online. I think a lot of people were... It also coincides with the boom that the crypto market experienced during 2020 and 2021. People were just at home, they were online, they were almost looking for new ways to make money, in a sense, really. I mean, meme coins like Doge were taken off as kind of almost pretty much, if you want to simplify it, get-rich-quick schemes.
Yeah, I remember that. That was huge, wasn't it, for a bit?
Yeah,
that was real proliferation in that.
Yeah, and then obviously the market downturned in 2022, but I would say that the NFTs were being viewed as this next iteration of technological advancement in being able in terms of ownership. There's no third party involved, which is kind of the essence of blockchain technology. There's no third party involved. It's a peer-to-peer transaction whilst also using crypto. And it was just being viewed as this security blanket almost for peer-to-peer users. Ownership as well was very, very big, but I think it kind of got lost in its way simply because of the whole celebrity endorsement type of thing, and there was pieces that was being bought for like millions and millions of dollars.
Yeah, it was huge, wasn't it? I remember there were some cases of people just. There was one really kind of notorious case, wasn't there? I think where someone had missold an NFT for like $30 or something. It was actually worth like $300,000 or something like that on the market at the time. And yeah, there were loads of cases of people buying them just for the equivalent of a few quid, and then within a couple of months they were worth God knows how much more than that. Yeah. But also other cases of people buying them for a lot of money and suddenly it dropping in value, wasn't there?
I think it's also kind of indicative of how people are short-term attention spans kind of last as well. Like if it's not expected to be like a long-term type thing, which DraftKings, well, you can't really blame them for getting type of involved in the NFT space. I know there's a big collectible, a big sports card collectible scene in the US with trading cards and whatnot. So sports stars, trading cards, that type of thing. It's not a bad idea initially, but I think the long term, I don't think anyone was taking in long term projections of what NFTs could be during that boom period. I don't think there was many people looking into what's going to happen with NFTs in the next several years or so.
Yeah, I mean, and you mentioned earlier, obviously, the importance of this occurring during that COVID period. And I don't want to sound too cynical on it, but there might also just be a part of, like you said, everyone was sort of stuck indoors needing something to do, and this big trend was occurring and this big craze was occurring, and it would and as a result of that, people had a lot of free time, a lot of they were looking for something to do. I don't know if maybe that could have been part of it. And now that when COVID rules eased and we've got back into the normal sort of day-to-day life, the same as it was pre-2020, pre-2019, that interest has kind of faded with it, apart from among some more dedicated followers, I guess, and people who are really tuned into like blockchain and crypto developments, or as you said, among people who are very into that whole collectible thing. Like you said, in the US, trading cards have been huge for ages, haven't they? Like baseball trading cards.
Yeah, like Fanatics are doing quite a lot of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so it's still there, but it's really gone. It's really gone from. And maybe decline isn't the right word, but it's certainly fallen from the forefront of a lot of conversation around this.
Yeah, it's definitely, in my view, it's definitely declined in terms of popularity. I think the technology itself is still quite interesting in terms of how it can be used in certain industries and for certain loyalty cards, for certain loyalty programs and certain loyalty rewards programs that retail companies can use. But yeah, the decline was quite stark in 2022. The crypto market did hit a pretty big crash during May. I think it was Terra Luna was the one that collapsed first, which then sent the market downwards. And then FTX, I'm pretty sure you've all heard about the FTX collapse in November of that year. That kind of just set consumer fears right down the drain. So yeah, while the crypto market has been recovering from that, the NFT market hasn't really. Payment Expert, we covered a report from Dap Gamble in September 2023, which revealed that 95% of the over 73,000 NFTs that were surveyed, 95% of all those NFTs were pretty much deemed worthless after the mainstream market collapse. So that just kind of tells you the stark decline that it experienced in 2022 and 2023.
Yeah, I think that figure more than anything really shows the extent it fell off, didn't it? From, like we said, going from these NFT sort of art collectible things going for up to millions back in 2021 in particular, to now being, according to this report, completely worthless. We'll go into a bit more detail on this later. I think we just need to take a quick ad break and then we'll be right back to discuss some more things to do with NFTs and blockchain and all that.
SBC Leaders connects the gambling industry's top-tier operators and associations to share the best ideas, collaborate on solving the biggest issues, and push innovation throughout the betting and gaming industry. If you're an operator and want to join the discussion, visit sbcleaders.com for more information.
Okay, and we're back. Welcome back to iGaming Daily, where, we're going to continue this discussion around NFTs and where everything's going. So obviously, kicking things off, we talked about how DraftKings has shut down its NFT marketplace, how this is, in my opinion, that's quite a significant indicator of how much these assets have fallen off. And Callum, you gave our audience quite a good breakdown there of what was it, basically about how much the value of these has declined.
Yeah.
Thing is, though, they've not entirely gone away, have they? And as always, blockchain technology is still there. That's, if anything, that's just increased in usage, and a lot of the assets of that have increased in value, with the exception of NFTs. So I guess looking on that, what are some of the current use cases for NFTs and other sort of digital assets? Where do they currently stand in all of this?
Yeah, well, in terms of NFTs, I think there's skeptics. There's more skeptics than there are believers. But I think you need to talk about, if you're talking about skeptics of NFTs, then you also talk about skeptics of crypto and blockchain. They kind of form into the same group, right? Just like anything, I know this downward spiral that's occurred for NFTs at the moment is obviously a stark one. You've got to remember blockchain technology, crypto, NFTs, all these Web3 based products, they're all still in the relative infancy. I mean, we're not even talking about 20 years until before this technology was formed and developed and founded. So I definitely do think that NFTs, whilst people's perception of NFTs are these almost type of like scam type things, they definitely do have some real world advantages when it pertains to tickets. For example, I know Lazio, their sponsor and partner Binance, they started to use their match day tickets as part of NFTs. Now, this can give off additional benefits like potentially discount on drinks at the concourse, or maybe £5 off on merchandise and stuff like that. So there's additional benefits to these once you have them in your mobile wallet, and then you can potentially then access the NFT through that. I know that Lazio have also launched the fan token with Binance. That's not really an NFT. That's more to do with the crypto side, but you know what I mean. Really, it's more about engaging the fan and giving the fan additional experiences and benefits to just the regular match day experience. So it's also being used as well in terms of retail. I know Dolce & Gabbana, they've been doing a lot of stuff in terms of digital collectible fashion pieces. Nike are probably the leaders in my opinion in terms of giving out collectible sneakers and really driving home the importance of exclusivity.
Yeah, I think what you've noted there is obviously, I think one of the areas that we're seeing a lot of continued convergence and a lot of interest is still in sports, isn't it? That really does seem to be the big one. Like you said, with Lazio, I mean, I know that if we're going to take things a bit closer to home, like your local side, Man City, they obviously have this partnership with OKX, and I think they've been doing some stuff, similar kind of things together in like the fan token and sort of NFT and collectible space, haven't they, this year? So we're still seeing that. The ticketing one's also quite interesting, because I remember, again, harking back to 2021, when there was the Euros final, there were a few discussions after that because obviously there were a lot of issues there with a lot of England fans showing up without tickets. And there was a bit of a discussion afterwards as how it'd probably take a lot of work, and it wouldn't. And I don't really know how bothered the UEFA and the FA would be with going through with it, but it'd be having like tickets based on NFTs and on like a blockchain sort of basis, so that they're more identifiable, and you're less likely to get scam tickets and things like that, which then obviously helps with safety. Obviously, part of that as well, though, was a lot of these fans were showing without tickets and just kicking their way through the doors, weren't they? So like, I don't really think NFTs can stop that. But
NFTs can't stop the brute force of the fan.
But there was an interesting discussion there, and I was kind of interested to see if that was going to come back up after the Copa America final lately, where they had a similar problem with some fans showing up, didn't they, without tickets. Although again, I think that was just cases of a lot of people just breaking in because they were that desperate to see their team. But looking ahead, I know we've seen something lately as well with our colleague Kieran on Insider Sport covered something that FIFA are doing at the moment with NFTs in the build-up to the 2026 World Cup, I think it is, and they have their platform, I think it's called FIFA Plus Collect, and they're offering fans the chance to, I believe it's to win tickets to the World Cup through some sort of scheme they're running on there. So that shows that it is still going, and especially in the sports side of things. I think the other thing I think that's quite important to talk about is, as you said earlier, with it being affected by the value of NFTs getting affected by confidence in the market. At the end of the day, crypto and NFTs, that's what they are. They are a market. And they're impacted by real world events. I think it felt all of these crypto, blockchain, and NFT markets and so on really felt the impact of those scandals that you referred to, like at the FTX scandal in particular, really dealt a blow, didn't it? Valuations really sunk. But we've recently seen Bitcoin rebound massively because of the Securities and Exchange Commission approving Bitcoin ETFs in the US, and we've now seen Ethereum ETFs approved as well. So the crypto market has really been riding quite a big wave off that in recent years. So it just goes to show you never know, in the future something similar could happen for sort of NFTs and that as well, perhaps. Yeah,
I would say with that with the NFT market, you think it would potentially go back up in value. I see NFTs now moving into a second cycle, looking at more retail value and more retail senses, with the examples we've gave. I think you're going to start seeing a lot more consumer confidence in NFTs the more they're being used in a consumer type sense. I think a lot of consumers are obviously going to have more confidence in them if they're giving them additional benefits from buying goods or loading up reward points at Tesco's. So I think we're going to look at NFTs a bit more differently over the next couple of years in terms of not them being for sale and we're using these. Obviously they'll still exist, but I think we are going to look at NFTs in a more retail sense and a more loyalty and reward sense, in terms of how our company's now going to look at not just giving our email receipt, but then what turn the email receipt into an NFT potentially, and then it can then track data and your past shopping experiences and tailor that type of stuff. I think those type of real world experiences, I think NFTs can definitely provide real world benefits.
Yeah, it's more of the use cases of what they'll bring to the customer and ultimately bring to the business as well, I guess, and like play a role in redefining that relationship and strengthening it, really. And I think that might be something that some betting companies might be wanting to keep an eye on, certainly ones with more bigger, tech teams, tech departments, and more money to put into that area. Obviously, betting companies have massive customer bases, and a lot of them are based both on retail and online. Yeah. So there's maybe a chance for them to bridge that sort of customer gap.
And potentially DraftKings, I mean, I don't think they're probably looking to open back that NFT marketplace anytime soon. But I think they really kind of found a niche there with the sports collectible card type thing with sports stars. And I think as long as that sector and community of people begins to grow, then this potentially could bring it back, and it's potentially a big revenue driver for not just companies but for people as well.
It'll be 100% something interesting to keep an eye on with how all this develops, and I think it'll be quite interesting as things continue to compare how the technology moves now to what it was like during that 2020 to 22 boom period. Obviously, you can keep an eye on all these sort of things on Payment Expert and Insider Sport. Given that this falls under the agenda of both sites, we'll Callum, myself, and our colleague Kieran will make sure to keep you all updated on that, and I'm sure we'll be on future episodes of iGaming Daily as well. So I think that's it for today, but thanks to all our listeners for tuning in, and see you next time.
Thank you for listening to today's iGaming Daily podcast, supported by Optimove, the #1 CRM marketing solution for the iGaming market. If you want to find out more about some of the subjects raised today, feel free to explore any of the sites in the SBC News network, or check out the latest edition of the SBC Leaders magazine. Happy reading.